Welcome to Smoke Signals, everyone. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Wayne Coleman. Fighting Indians had a tough homecoming night last week, Coach. When you schedule these games, when COVID hit and you had to reschedule and had to play back a month, I don't think you may have known that Cleveland was going to have their best team they've had in 10 years. That was a good football team.
They've got a good team. And we knew a little bit about that this was a big, good senior class for them. It's just hard to gauge, how good is good.
Yeah.
So they've got a great team. I expect them to do something really special this year.
You told your kids, though, that, I know you told them that we could have played somebody weaker. We could have played two teams that weren't as good as Crandall or Cleburne, but there's good results that can come from playing these good teams.
Well, you learn a lot more about yourself when you're playing good competition. And everything that, like in the special teams, week one that was magnified and looked horrible, we had a good game, actually, special teams-wise. It might have been the only phase that we won. Well, it definitely was. But every time you play a tough opponent, you learn much more about yourself.
Of course, you knew going into the game that the running back was going to be good, Chandler kid, and he was everything that you thought he'd be. The quarterback was pretty good. So you knew that stopping them offensively was going to be tough. But what was kind of surprising was the way that their defense played your offense, which was pretty explosive against Crandall.
Yeah, they did a great job defensively of mixing things up and confusing us. And part of that's on the coaching staff. We maybe asked too much of Patrick. He was a little confused during the game. But that's just stuff that we learn from. You learn as you go along how much can the kids handle each week. And we're finding stuff out about ourselves every week.
Once again, turnovers, Coach, were tough.
Yeah, and that's part of maybe being confused, not just on the quarterback, kids running wrong routes or a breakdown in protection, just mistakes that you've got to get fixed. And like I said, if we were playing a bad football team, those things wouldn't even happen. The kids would be under less pressure. But when you're playing a good team, it just becomes magnified.
And when you, in defense of Patrick and the interceptions, and people don't realize, or maybe they do, but it needs to be pointed out that interceptions a lot of times aren't on the quarterback. They can be on the receiver. And you have a young receiving core, and they're learning the stems off the routes and the trees and all that you call these passing routes. So sometimes it's not on the quarterback when there's an interception, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was watching the game the other night, and Edelman tips a ball up for a pick six for the other team, and that wasn't on the quarterback. Just those kind of things that happen in a game.
There were some highlights to the game against Cleburne last week. We're going to take a look at those right now. Coach, here's a blocked PAT, went for 90, Isaiah Mallard, the junior.
Yeah, Hart did a great job of getting through the line of scrimmage and blocking that, and it's good to see all the Indians running down there with him to celebrate.
That was our congratulations play of the game. Now here's a great throw from Clater to Mallard again for 21.
Isaiah's coming along. He's getting used to playing the receiver position. He plays every snap at corner, and we're trying to work him in on the offense also.
Here's a great catch by Dino.
Yeah, Dino knew he was going to get hit there, but he got in the fetal position real quick and made a good catch.
And this set up your touchdown. What a good move by Darian right here, getting inside, getting out.
It's good to see Darian making some plays after getting hurt in game one.
And Patrick keeps it right here for your score. So, Coach, tough night. I mean, looking at the statistics here, again, the turnovers stand out, obviously, but the offense never could get in sync, And again, like we said earlier, you knew Cleburne was going to get their yards. They have such an explosive offense. It was just some of the things they were doing defensively, as you said, were kind of caused your offense to struggle.
Yeah, and I think we're still looking for that identity on the offensive side of the ball, and it'll come. We've got enough kids, skill position-wise, to figure it out, to balance out the run and pass more and try to dictate what the defense has to do rather than us be so reactive.
This week it's Nederland, Coach, coming to Tomato Bowl on a Saturday afternoon game starting at 2 o'clock. Nederland's a good football team. They played one game. They got COVIDed out, I think, the first week, and they played Lufkin last week, and got beat 31-28. Talk about Nederland. Are they the same old Nederland, just coming right at you?
Yeah, they're physical, run to the ball. They're a little more athletic maybe on offense than they have been, than the teams we remember, back in the 90s. They play a Wildcat quarterback, a kid that played receiver for them last year, very athletic, can run the ball, throw the ball. So it's going to be a challenge keeping him in check.
And of course, you mentioned Jacksonville has a history with Nederland. It's been a while. 2004 was the last time we played them 3 deep in the playoffs. But this is a program. I mean, this is a team that year in, year out, they're always competing. I think last year they were 4-7, kind of a down year for them. A lot of kids coming back though, and they're pretty good.
They are, and they've got a great tradition. They're worried about seating. They want more tickets. So even though it's going to be a 3.5-hour drive, they are expecting a good travel out of their fan base, and it's going to be a neat atmosphere on Saturday.
What does Nederland do offensively that your defense is going to have to go against?
Yeah, they're going to spread it out and try to do your typical spread offensive stuff. And the thing is, when the play breaks down, the quarterback becomes really dangerous. And the hardest play in football to stop is the scramble because there's no design for it. And we're going to have to really be focused on knowing where that quarterback is at all times.
Last week, Cleburne really took away your underneath passing game, your slant routes with 4 linebackers across that second level. What does Nederland do defensively? Do they have a look like that you're expecting? And if they do, what are you going to do?
Well, they play a lot more man coverage technique than what Cleburne did. They are going to play with a safety in the middle of the field most of the game to take away the deep balls. And then ask their corners and outside backers to play man coverage. So that'll be really a lot different than what we saw the other night.
Coach, last week the kicking game improved a lot. Sergio had a great first game as your punter, and still working on the kicking game, still trying to find that identity, if you will. That the special teams, that's something that sometimes doesn't get fully developed until district play. How do you think the improvement was from week 1 to week 2?
No, it was massive. We really got better in our punt team. And then our kickers coming along. I've been spending some time in soccer class and auditioning kickers, and Jose Solano has done a good job coming out there for us. Cameron Glass is working with us. So we've got prospects, and we're getting better in that.
Coach, last week you really played behind the chains a lot. And I know going into the season you wanted to have a running back by committee. In the first 2 games that hasn't really been worked out because of injuries and such. Is that something that you're still trying to develop and get your running game going? Because it just seems like it just puts so much pressure on the passing game when you can't run the ball and it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11.
Right. Yeah, we're a little banged up at the running back position. But we're moving kids in there. It's kind of like the kicking position right now. We've got new faces out there practicing at running back, so we're trying to develop some depth there.
Coach, talk about the keys to the game to get the win against Nederland.
Oh, I think for sure we haven't won the turnover battle yet, so we've got to get to the point where we start taking the ball away and we start taking care of the football. And until we get better at that, really all the other things are insignificant. That has to be taken care of.
Talk about your team emotionally right now. Tough loss last week and played so much better in week 1. Where are you? Where are you guys? How are they feeling?
We've got a big senior group. A lot of them don't have playing time, but they're mature kids. And they understand we could have scheduled some really easy games and be 2-0 and not be worried about the kicking game, not be worried about some of the other changes that we've made to try to improve ourselves versus being 0-2 and identifying all the weaknesses to be as good as we can be by the time district starts. So I think they're mature enough to understand that, and we've had some good meetings. In our character trait meetings, we're able to compare, the character traits of selflessness and commitment and responsibility into what's actually happening to us right now. And you can't be selfish. You've got to be committed and show up every day, and you've got to take responsibility. And if you're not making plays that you need to make, if I'm putting too much on you and asking too much of you, that's what I'm responsible for. That's my fault. And all of these things are coming to fruition in the non-district schedule. but it's going to make us better.
Some of these things you're talking about, a lot of our viewers, our fans, they don't know what goes on from Monday to Thursday. They just come out on Friday night and see the results. But there's so many more things that you guys are doing, like the character traits, like the things that you're trying to teach them how to be men, leaders. There's so much more to this program than just Friday nights.
Yeah, and there's an old coach, I can't remember, old famous coach that won a lot of championships, and they asked him, Coach, which team do you think was your best team? And he said, I'll tell you in 20 years after they're all men.
Yes.
And so that's when you'll really be measured. And we want to win, don't get me wrong. We're busting our butts out there at practice. But there's a lot more to this than just the football.
Absolutely. Well, it's Jacksonville versus Nederland in a different kind of a format on Saturday afternoon. Kickoff will be at 2 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 1:15 at jhs-sports.com. You can stream the game and watch it live, and we hope you'll tune in. If not, come to Tomato Bowl. It's going to be a great day. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.